the thing is, I mean, this debate for a new constitution, whether we should have a brand new one or whether amendments would just do the trick to this one, you know, has been on for a while. You have made a very strong point in terms of the reason why we should have one that we call our own. But some people have said that there is really nothing wrong with the words of this constitution. So some even suggest that, is it possible for us to submit this one to a referendum and then, you know, we can all say we had a say on it?
No, there is you cannot defeat the logic of constitutionalism. A constitution that is imposed on you is not your document. You don't have any. It's like we have a farm. Our father has a farm, 4 of us. And Chamberlain just takes a gun and says that this is how that farm is to be managed. And after, for some reasons, maybe he traveled to America. He still insists that that is how to be managed. And nobody, none of us who is talking of a new constitution is complaining about the content. It is not, however, the content of a constitution that validates it. It is the procedure. And the problem of there's of course problem with the content. Otherwise, how many amendments? Right now, they are talking of amending almost 100 clauses. America has only amended its constitution only 24 times. And most of those amendments took place only in 1 year with reference to the rights of the people, the freedom of expression, freedom of this and so on and so forth. But in our case, there's total confusion about the nature of the Constitution, the content of the Constitution, the relationship of the Constitution.
You gave a very nice analogy, and I was hoping to build on your analogy. You talked about, you know, assuming somebody were putting a gun to our heads and saying, this is how this thing should be shared. But assuming we had no problem with how it was shared, forget that the gun was there, why should we complain about it?
Well, naturally, in the first place, if the gun is put in your head, you already have a problem. Because that's what they call coercion. Even under the law, when you run into that kind of something, you are not responsible for your action. If, for example, somebody puts a gun on my head now and tells me to run, and I run into somebody and I hit somebody, you know, that's the other issue, of course, even the content of a constitution, if we don't have agreement on how we want Nigeria to be managed. Lagos has been complaining about its local government, that you gave us only 24 local governments. You gave Kano 40 local governments, and our population is more than Kano. There are lots of people today that are complaining about resource sharing. There are lots of people that are complaining that this thing should not be in the exclusive list. There are so many issues like that we need to agree. So, in other words, I'm saying is that the fundamental foundation. It's like you have a house without a foundation. The foundation itself is shaking. The foundation. So also what is built on it is also problematic.
You know, in your analogy, you said you compared what happened in America and here. How the leadership came up and did what they had to do. But here we see over time and again, you know, leadership comes in, and it appears as though they're afraid of certain interests, protecting their interests at the top. But the question now is, I mean, how then do we guarantee that even if a new leadership were to emerge from the people, they would do the same thing?
No, the point is that once we have a constitution, people have something to stand upon in order to push their interest. There's no way. Leadership is by evolution. It's by evolution. The only important thing is that how do we guarantee the people themselves must be conscious to ensure that they put the right people there. This is the point.
So is this a question of when and not if? Because you talked about our children in the future, that we can't run away from this.
Well, it's not entirely a hopeless situation. We brought about democratic government. I was detained 3 times, one for 1 year. The third detention was in just prison. Eventually, we brought about a democratic government. So the people are not entirely helpless or hopeless. They are children. If you look at what is happening, even this national conference, I have interacted with every government from Abdul Salami on this issue. I have written to the president on this, explaining to them. Initially, they didn't want to hear anything about it. They thought we were talking nonsense. We are now graduating to the point that the Senate president now says we are not against national conference. So we are moving forward. We are moving up. So as long as we take our affairs in our hands, the children of the poor, the children of the farmers, we, their children, will continue to demand for the ideals of government consistent with respect in the world. So I believe that once we make up our mind and we continue to insist eventually, because this nation has possibility for greatness. If we just look at the faculty, this is a nation endowed with great men and women of great faculty. And a society is developed, is changed by the minds of our people. It's not by the material, it is by the minds of the people. And this nation has men and women of great faculty. You just need to go around the world and see the great achievements of Nigerians.
Well, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, very interesting perspective, but I'm afraid we'll have to let it go here. But we look forward to having you back again in the future. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much, man.